Good morning, my friend. It's been a little while since I put out a video, but I have I've had a lot of time to just kind of soak up and immerse myself in what I'm doing, what I'm assuming, and I'm driving to a lady's home because I'm helping her do some organizing, and I thought this was a good time to just drop a video. Why not? So it's really, the topic is really about throwing out reason and why it's working for me. I'm basically disassociating from a reality that's not what I want. So in a sense, I have gone completely mad. But it's the best kind of mad that you can go. If you follow Neville Goddard's teachings, or Edward Art, you understand what I'm talking about. But also, you understand how challenging it can be to throw reason out the window and assume whatever it is that you're wanting as though it is fulfilled. It already exists, and so that you're not in a state of desire, you're in a state of fulfillment. And I still listen to one particular video of Edward's a lot when I need to, especially, is Reason My Bondage, because I will get tangled up in unwanted thoughts because of an experience that I'm having. And it could be an old pattern kind of experience. It could be an interaction with a person that is activating within me feelings and thoughts that I just don't. So when I listen to that video, it really helps me remember that I don't have to participate in any thoughts or so. I'm driving and I might lose internet here or there, but I'm going to keep this short. I'm really going to try to keep it short. So practicing throwing reason out the window means, for me, how I'm doing it is I'm disassociating from experiences, thoughts, or feelings that are keeping me in states of bondage, and I'm associating with the states that I want to experience, want to assume. And it's not terribly hard to do this once you start, giving that to yourself. And it does get easier. It really does get easier, because I can say that I rarely spend any time ruminating or focusing internally in my own head about things that are unwanted to me. And to be able to do that, in my opinion, is freedom. it's liberation. It's the reality that I am associating with in my life, and as a result, I'm not getting tangled up in outer world thoughts. So I'll give you an example of something that I've been tangled up in for the last few days, and that is my partner raises goats. He's got goats, and he does it for food security and things like that. But currently, we've never really had the ability to get a lot of fencing up, which means that the goats and taking care of the goats and tending to the goats have slowly taken over our lives. And because you have to care for these animals, and so we put them out to tether because we don't have fencing to keep them in the area that we own, and you can't leave. You cannot leave them. We can't leave the property. Not together, both of us. We have to put them back in their pen, and their pen area is too small for them to be in. They have to free range and eat enough food, because buying food is very expensive, and we buy the food to supplement, their diet, but they can't subsist on that. They really have to go out and graze. And so as a result, it's really impeded. There has been this feeling that I've been tangled up with. Reason has all kinds of reasons about it, and but most of them are swirling around money, lack of fencing, and lack of personal freedom and time, because busy messing with goats throughout the day and evening is very labor intensive and not really how I want to spend my time. But I don't also feel like I have a choice, because my partner needs help with the goats, and it would be unkind and it would be irresponsible to not help with the care of these goats. So we have like 11 goats. And so I was struggling with feelings of bitterness and resentment because of how I'm having to spend my time. And it's so silly, because I can give myself what I want, and I'm certain that things will reconfigure themselves without me stressing or feeling limited in any way. I don't need to feel like I'm in bondage because I have to help take care of goats. But nonetheless, that's how it feels, right? So the only way that I can see out of this, because I don't have the kind of money it would take to put fencing around my property. We have even just a much larger area. Fencing is stupid expensive, and so the other thing is that I'm fixing to start a new job here in a few weeks, and I'll be making good money. But now I'm feeling resentful, like the money that I'm going to be making is going to all go towards dealing with these goats, and I'm not really loving that idea. And so what I'm finding that I have to do is I have to disassociate from those thoughts, because those thoughts are bondage. Those thoughts make me feel all kinds of feelings that I don't enjoy, that I don't want to be feeling. I don't want to be experiencing those states. Because, like, Edward has mentioned, as soon as you activate a state, more states come and join that. And I don't need more bondage states to experience in my life. I'm pretty good. I like the liberation states. I like the states where I feel spacious and I feel like I have options and I feel abundance, right? So I shared that story as an example of how reason makes it so easy to get tangled up in the outer world, natural outer world way of thinking. The natural outer world way of thinking is very unnatural to my inner being. And so assuming what I do want, rather than continuing to have thoughts over and over and over in my head about the limitation, about the bondage, about the unwanted, because none of that will help me, except it will push me to the point where I throw reason out the window. And thank God I can do that now, because I've been practicing it. And it has made huge transformations in my life. I mean, in the last 2 months, I am more clear and more, I just feel like I'm in a flow state the majority of the time, unless, a bondage thoughts or whatnot crop up. And I can take care of those thoughts for the most part by just, going straight towards what it is that I'm wanting, And so now I'm just assuming the revision of all the goat thoughts that I just expressed to you. Because, I don't want to be in a state of resistance with my partner over goats, over money, over, and because the more you're in a state of resistance like that, the more resentments build, and then you're carrying around a bunch of hidden daggers and stuff that you just want to toss at people who you perceive are part of the reason why you're suffering, right? But it's not my partner's fault. I mean, I could choose to blame my partner, and at times I have. I mean, if I'm being honest, which I am, or I wouldn't make these videos. But I'm sharing this information because I think it's important to understand the process of what I'm talking about, what Edward talks about, which is throwing reason out the window, because you will stay in bondage with the reasons that you give yourself. And they're very compelling, and they're very supported in the outer world by other people who are reflecting states back to you that support those, supports bondage, basically. And I've just come to the point where for my own well-being and my own sanity, throwing reason out of my the way that I process things has been the number one most effective tool in my path, in my journey, for experiencing optimal well-being. Like, I can feel the difference in my body. If I am full of resistance due to thoughts that are basically bondage thoughts, I can feel that in my body. Like, my body expresses to me without words. It expresses in feeling. And so I know how my body feels when I'm liberated and giving myself what I want in the inner, compared to when I'm feeling completely in a state where things outside of me seem to be in control, and the thoughts and the feelings that come with that, they get, like, it gets tangled up in my mind when I go that route. But it gets on, that energy also gets tangled up in my body. And so it's like my body is the canary in the coal mine, so to speak. And as soon as those feelings of dis-ease start, popping in my body, instead of having fearful thoughts like, oh my God, what's this? What's happening? What's going on? Do I need to, am I going to die? Well, I mean, we're all going to wake up. To me, that's what death is. You're just waking up from this waking dream, like you wake up from a sleeping, dream. But my body will immediately alert me to the fact that I'm not giving myself what I want on the inner, that I'm too focused on the outer and reasons of the outer in the sense world. If I want everything to come into alignment for my experience in the outer world, I really do have to reject. By reject, I don't mean any resistance in that rejection. I mean not giving my attention, by disassociating with those narratives and those states and just not participating in those. And it's very insidious. If you start really knuckling down and paying attention to where your mind wanders, you can start seeing a whole lot of where your attention is, and as a result, what that's bringing to you. So the more that you practice assuming the states that you prefer, the more the outer world lines up to bring you more of that. And there are echoes that come up, absolutely has been my experience, but that's only to help firm up what you're already doing, which is, living in the end, giving yourself the fulfillment that is already yours, and just assuming that state of fulfillment. So, but to just say, well, assume the state of fulfillment, and then, if you can do that, like the minute you say it, that's incredible. That's awesome. That's pretty powerful. I feel like I am chipping away at my ability to just be that naturally, only because of programming and patterns of a lifetime So I don't make myself feel bad, and I try not to make myself crazy when those echoes come up. I just see them for what they are. Even sooner or later, I see them for what they are. And then I come back around to giving myself what it is that I want. And so the associations that I give myself may not seem real in the outer world yet, but I give them to myself because that's how they become real for me. And because I've been doing it long enough now that I truly believe it. I don't even have to be like, I don't know if this is going to be a thing, or, I don't know if this will happen, but this is what I want. I don't have to do that. So, like, for instance, with the goats, I've gone through my little, pity party and my thoughts of bondage about the goats, but now I'm swung around that wheel, and I'm back to, well, there's nothing I can't have, be, or do. And that includes giving myself freedom and liberation concerning the goats. So what do I want? I want everybody to be happy. If my partner wants goats and he wants to satisfy his desires with goats, then it's not like I want to just vision the goats out of existence in my reality, because the goats are amusing. I like the goats, but now I'm giving myself what I want in my imagination concerning those goats. And I'm not going to keep smacking myself over the head with a brick concerning the limitations or the lack thoughts concerning those goats. And by doing that, I free myself from the bondage of negative thoughts about those goats, about my partner, about the situation. And in the meantime, I still have to mess with those goats because I'm a responsible human being, and I'm not gonna not help, right? But this time I'm not gonna be bitter and annoyed about it because I have to spend some of my time doing goat things. I'm going to give myself what I want on the inner, and then I'm going to proceed in my life knowing that everything concerning those goats is going to be better than okay, right? So that was my short little video. I hope that it struck a chord with you, friend, and I'll be making more videos here. I've just been, I haven't really had a huge, stunning anything to really talk about. I've just been doing what I want, and I've been feeling really good for the most part. Really, just genuinely calm and peaceful and loving my life. And I think that's all you have to do, is to give yourself what you want. You just love your life. Love your life. Love what you're giving to yourself, right? And that, I think, that really helps as you're choosing what you want. Choosing what you want to experience. So, until we talk again, friend.